he's not, he's here. And he's going to talk to us about how to start a video game arts organization. Please welcome Jim Monroe.
Hey guys. Yeah, so I'm the executive director of Hand-Eye Society. We're a video game arts organization in Toronto, Canada. And we started in about 2009 with this mission. Number one, to help people create games. Number two, to connect game makers with each other and with an audience, most predominantly offline audience. And to foster diversity in game creation and the public perception of games. So that's a sort of a two-pronged attack. The first is, creating initiatives that get different types of people making games and thus increasing the diversity of the types of games that are made. But as well, at the moment there's a fairly homogenous notion of what games are, not held by you people, but by the sort of mainstream culture that basically either thinks we're killing hookers in Grand Theft Auto or shooting other Space Marines in Halo. So it's kind of, one of our missions is to kind of sort of show the diversity of types of games that are being made and being played. So one of the main things that we do is we run socials every two months, and they're similar in many ways to, they serve the same purposes as meetups in more of an industry sort of organization context. But we really work hard to make them more cultural events, like more akin to like an art gallery opening or a book launch, or even the energy of a rock show. You can see the energy floating above the crowd, which took a lot of time to generate. But and another thing that we're known for is that we established something called the Torontrons, and they're classic arcade cabinets, basically indie games. We took classic 80s arcade cabinets and filled them full of Toronto games. And we contextualize them as kind of mobile galleries. So they go to different spots in the city, and they're available for people to play for free. And many of you probably have heard of the Winatron, which is sort of, this inspired, basically this project inspired it, has since gone on to create an international indie arcade network, which is really awesome. And most recently, we've been getting into doing initiatives in a partnership context. The Toronto International Film Festival is kind of a huge deal in Canada, and specifically in Toronto. And we basically have started sort of, it was like a year-long project where we did a variety of initiatives, one of which was comics and games, where we put together comic artists and game developers to make games. And another one was the Difference Engine Initiative, which I co-coordinated with Mayor Shepherd, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But the whole intent of it was to kind of was to try to put our organization to some extent on a similar level to other cultural organizations addressing other mediums in the city. So we've been pretty, I think for the basis, just on the basis of being here first, we managed to get a tremendous amount of attention internationally and support from various amazing people like Brendan, who's, there's a number of arts organizations all over the world, in Boston and all over North America and Europe, and it's been really fun to get to sort of work with them on some level, just to sort of trade ideas and such. And I'm actually going to be going into some of the other ones later on, sort of some of the other tips that people in other organizations have had. So just to talk about why we started an arts organization and why you might. by extension, also like to, which would be great. And I mean, on a basic level, it's just more fun to work together with other people who are as passionate and interested in making games and making game projects. So, you know, we had a number of individual projects that we were all running, and we found like, hey, you know, like, why don't we do this thing together for an event? And it worked out really well. I mean, that's the basis of it. So, I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where if you have to fight tooth and nail to work together, forget it. Just give it up. But if you find, and I think you will, when you work together with people, that often it just goes really well and it amplifies what you can do. So just saying the words Video Game Arts Organization together surprises the general public. So when I'm at a party, for instance, and people ask me what I do, I'm tired of saying I'm a writer, or I'm a writer, video game maker, whatever. I usually just say, yeah, I'm an executive director for a video game arts organization. Because people are like, huh? Video game arts? What? And that starts a conversation. So it's just like, on the basis of having an organization and that, you know, it has an arts focus, really starts to get people thinking. And, you know, there was sort of like an IGDA chapter in Toronto, and actually it was fairly moribund at the time, but it's now very active and quite healthy now. But at the time, you know, we were complaining about how it wasn't sort of meeting our needs. And truthfully, I mean, it just has a kind of a boring business focus from our perspective as artists and stuff. So we decided, not that we're anti-business, but, you know, we want the cultural sort of part to be the more kind of prevalent focus. And also, I mean, I come from a background of indie media. So, I mean, I didn't want that to be the main focus of the organization. I didn't necessarily want it to be an indie games organization, because I feel like there's so much to be gained by celebrating everything that's good across, you know, whether it's you know, a corporate game or comes from like a big studio or comes from a little studio. I feel like a win for one is a win for all. So, you know, we're more likely to want to celebrate something like Katamari Damacy, was produced by a large company, than some crappy Space Invaders clone that super indie guy did. I mean, it's just, we just have to make that distinction that how we're kind of deciding what to put up to the forefront, because as I say, like, one of the things we do is public outreach. So we want, for someone who's not aware of games at all, or the provenance in which they come from, whether it be indie or corporate, we just want them to see something totally surprising that they wouldn't have otherwise seen, and totally engaging. So so we try not to kind of make it an indie versus corporate sort of thing, even though obviously indies have the capability and the risk-taking kind of tendencies to create like more innovative art than the large companies. But that being said, sometimes amazing stuff slips through on both sides, so we just want to be able to celebrate that. So just some tips on how we get started. We just sort of got together and had over drinks and figured out something we ourselves needed as game creators, and what we wanted. We didn't try to sort of anticipate some sort of audience or try to think about other people. We were just thinking about, okay, selfishly, what would we really like there to be in this city? And what we hit upon the first time was the socials, because there wasn't enough of that type of meetup. There wasn't enough of the sort of show and tell, basically, just a basic show and tell thing that provides a structure for people to present their work in a public context and to get feedback and to have a deadline to sort of get a build ready for the social. It provides so many things in an effortless way to have that sort of public event. And one of the things we did very quickly was And this is just because I've been an arts organizer for maybe 10 years in different mediums. And I don't like burning out, and I burnt out on a number of occasions by taking on too much of a leadership kind of role. So when we decided, okay, this is what we wanted to do, how we decided the frequency was that there were 6 of us. We all agreed to do it once a year, so we did it on a bi-monthly level. So, I mean, it would have been very easy and a big mistake to say, let's do it on a monthly level, and then basically burn out people. You know, every 2 months, totally fine for our rhythms and what we needed to get out of it. So, another thing, just in general, is that like we basically said, yeah, this is an indie arts organization, stuck a flag in the ground, so to speak, and you know, all of a sudden there was something new in the landscape that people gravitated towards, and honestly, it's been pretty amazing because one of the things we did was we wanted to basically, we knew we had things we wanted to do with the organization, but we're really excited about working with Volunteer Power, working with other people that wanted an outlet to express their love of video games. So we made membership, I mean, we just made up this organization, right? But you know, when you sort of say this is like this is value, or this is of interest, would you like to become a Hand-Eye Society member? In the case of how we did it at the beginning was we said that anybody who pledged 10 hours of volunteer time per year to a video game community project was a member. And immediately, you know, I expected maybe 20 or 30% of the people to say, yeah, I'll volunteer. We had like 80% of the people who signed up to find out more about the organization. And people can just sign up on the website and get like emailed all our posts and stuff, right? Like they just want to sort of keep tabs on what's going on in Toronto. But yeah, I mean, what we found was there's incredible incredibly active membership. Which brings me to Volunteer Power. Oh, excuse me. Brings me to Volunteer Power. So, you know, people love video games. I don't know if you know this, and they love it with capitals, all caps. And it's a very interactive community. Like to me, it was a bit of a surprise coming from other either publishing or movie making or whatever. There's the people that are sort of in the video game community are far more inclined to want to participate and help and expand like what you're doing on a project level. And as I say, like the way we view it is not like that we want people to do our work for us. We view it as a way that we're providing them an outlet to express, you know, something about video game culture that they're very interested in doing. Like there are lots of people that are completely satisfied by expressing their love of video games just by playing video games and talking about video games with their friends. But there's a whole group of other people that want to do more stuff. Just like if they're a music fan, you know, they get involved with not just going to shows, but maybe putting on shows, maybe like, you know, running a music blog, maybe doing all sorts of things. So I think it's a really interesting sort of energy to work with. And yeah, I talked about this actually last night at the movie, but I view kind of Volunteer Power as like kind of volatile, but clean burning way to power projects. So it's almost like solar energy. It's very tricky to work with. It's not like putting gasoline into a car, but at the same time, it kind of has all these benefits beyond sort of like traditional modes of you know, throwing money at stuff. Now, what we found is where it gets pretty tricky is some people getting paid and some people not getting paid. So one of the things we've tried to do to address this is kind of make a clear policy for that people that work more than their 10 hours on a project get paid at a $25 an hour rate, which is kind of like an arts administrative rate. So we try to make it like across the board, you know, so that it doesn't, like, basically it can cause a lot of discord and unhappiness, of course, if you feel like, oh, I've been working for free for this project and so is getting money for it. It can be very tricky. So it's important to kind of clearly delineate who's getting paid what and why, and that kind of thing. One huge tip with volunteer power is not waiting till there's a big project and then hoping your volunteers sort of come through. It's as soon as someone wants to volunteer for you, give them something small to do, that you can get a sense of how you work together, how you can how they follow through, you know, how they feel about it at the end of the day. All those things are really important in knowing who you can rely on for larger projects or bigger sort of responsibilities in the future. So just get people doing stuff pretty early on, just to get a sense of that. Okay. So this is first case study, short video, so you can not watch me blather on. You can watch me blather on the video now. No sound?
Let's see.
Facility. 6 arcade cabinets that we retrofitted to play modern arcade games by Toronto developers.
Toronto International Film Festival facility.
6 arcade cabinets that we...
We're in the gym building, the new Bell Lightbox Toronto International Film Festival facility.
6 arcade cabinets that we retrofitted to play modern arcade games by Toronto developers.
We purchased old, busted up games that didn't really function any longer. Put together what you see here. This is amazing. Like, we're used to sort of having some of these wrapped together little things where, you know, just a bunch of computers that got them on and on. But to have like an actual arcade of Toronto Indie is amazing. And then to have it in a space like this, that's like huge and beautiful and new and has like these amazing projectors and stuff, it's fantastic.
There's a huge screen up here that you can't see, but believe me, it's big, it's beautiful. And currently it's playing Cephalon Cottage Co-op Defense.
It's Cephalopod's Co-op Cottage Defense, because I love long games.
Later on tonight, we're going to be playing the infamous Nidhogg. It's basically kind of blood sport for nerds.
I can't wait till the Nidhogg tournament at midnight. It's going to be great.
It's a really fast-paced, kind of quick turnaround. Like, it's a player-to-player game, so people get really super into it. And it's as fun to watch as it is to play, which is actually quite unusual for a game. Seeing a different type of video game other than the first-person shooter.
You see that kind of fun-friendly style instead of, you know, dark brooding pipes and bricks and grime and soot. You know, I get tired of the grime and soot.
People are pretty excited about it, and more than anything else, we're just sort of coming in and really getting into the games and enjoying the games.
We've had a pretty consistent lineup. People waiting to play the games. People seem to be pretty impressed just when they see them.
There's a lot of laughs as people like fall to their death and end for the 10th time. It's true. At the moment, we've got postings for the next few months, and I'm going to be posting them on the site and giving details as to how to access them and stuff. They'll be free to the public, so it's worth checking out and going to different parts of town to kind of go on a treasure hunt for indie games.
So yeah, that was the Arcadian Renaissance, which was which happened a few years ago, and it was our first Toronto International Film Festival partnership. Nuit Blanche is this thing that happens in Toronto every year. It's called an all-night